Welcome to Emotional Intelligence Simplified, the podcast that takes the mystery out of emotional intelligence and brings its power right into your daily life. In each episode, we explore the simple truths behind what it really means to be emotionally intelligent at work, at home, in relationships, and in how we lead ourselves and others. Through inspiring conversations, real-life examples, and practical tools, we'll show you how emotional intelligence can help you unlock the best version of yourself. Welcome to Emotional Simplified, the podcast. I am Angela Mwehaki, and today we have with us Vicky, the CEO of Profiles. Karibu, Vicky.
Asante sana.
How are you?
I'm good. My
We're
goodness.
so very formal. But I'm glad you're here today because I think it's about time we answer some of the questions that, people always ask and don't know who to ask about emotional intelligence.
Great.
So, I don't know, let's go straight into it. So here's one. We hear people talk about emotional intelligence everywhere, but, what does it really mean and why is it so important? Why are we always talking about emotional intelligence?
So I like to kind of sum it up like this. Some time back, some guys were tinkling with research at some university called Yale. They discovered, and there were scientists in the social science space, they discovered that there were some abilities, and these abilities had nothing to do with IQ.
Okay.
They actually had a lot to do with emotions, our ability to recognize our emotions, our ability to manage our own emotions in others. And these abilities seemed to be important because the guys who showed signs of being able to master these emotions ended up being, in the long term, quite successful in their relationships, at work, in most of their endeavors. So they started realizing, hang on a minute, there is something here to do with emotions. That's different, from what we've always known. And yes, background, we have been studying these social things about people, their behavior patterns, their preferences. And we've been noticing that, yes, some people communicate better, some people are more resilient. And some of these attributes, which people called, I think, what they call communication skills.
Yes, communication skills or something like that, yeah.
So were important because you could actually develop them. So one, they had to do with emotions. And then two, they could be developed. Just the same way as you have a child who has loves mathematics, but you can develop that ability as well and make it better. So then, hence the word was coined, emotional intelligence, an intelligence that has to focus around the way we manage, the way we perceive, the way we understand, the way we regulate, the way we reason with our emotions, and how we use them intelligently to actually work for us instead of against us.
Actually, I've never had that story. I like it. So it's actually been studied, because people always say, being emotional, people are emotional.
Yeah, and hence some of the reasons why we have many myths. We just see the name emotional intelligence, and then we already come up with a framework for it. We already decide what it is. It's about emotions, but it's a lot more than that. And I think a lot more thought was put into that other than just the surface thing of it's about me being angry or not being angry. That's usually the one that people think about most when it's about emotional intelligence.
So that was the background. So what is it now?
It is our ability to first perceive. So you must be able to perceive, to know, to name emotions. To understand them, to reason with, use them, to express them. So that thing about the less expressive you are, the more emotionally intelligent you are. You must be able to express them, in a way, in a manner that other people can also understand
and
them.
perceive.
Yes, and you must be able to manage these emotions as well and use them to influence yourself, but more importantly, to do the same in others, to recognize them in others, to be able to manage them in others. And you can do that. I mean, when you have a child who's crying, how do you placate them? How do you move them from that emotional state to another emotional state? So being able to to do the same thing with others, that is the whole skill around emotional intelligence.
So there are many facets to it. I like how you said, first of all, to understand it, name it.
Awareness
to exactly what it is, and then now know what to do with it.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not just these big words we throw around.
No.
So, okay, that's a good start. So you've said that the advantage about it from the background was, unlike IQ is what it is and it stays as it is. Emotional intelligence is something you can improve on and get better at.
Yes, you can grow your level of emotional intelligence.
So how is it measured? Since IQ, we know how it's measured. Do we also measure emotional intelligence?
Yes, in almost the same fashion. One of the ways is getting feedback. And the problem with getting feedback from people is that they don't have an established framework. They don't, they'll tell you feedback from their own perspective. Oh, nakasirikanga sana. And maybe the way that I'm seeing you getting upset is because my folks never got upset. So a little bit of upset is upset, So the best way for you to really gauge your level of emotional intelligence is to take an assessment.
An assessment.
So look for a reputable firm, look for Profiles International.
So Profiles does things like this?
Yes. And then get yourself taken through an assessment where you and other people give you feedback on how you're showing up. And what we do is we look at the behaviors that people who are high in emotional intelligence show or exhibit. For example, one of the behaviors of guys who are high in emotional intelligence, and girls, just in case, is they make other people feel appreciated. It's a very small thing.
It's huge.
They intentionally do it. Yeah. And so how often do you do that? And it comes from a place first of understanding and being aware of other people, because the way you want to be appreciated is not the way someone else would want to be appreciated. Otherwise, it comes across as fluff. I might like to be appreciated every single moment.
Everything you do is like,
everything
wow.
I do is wow. Someone else might want to be appreciated in private. So you see, you also have to start being aware of other people, what their preferences are. What you're actually complimenting is a complimentable thing. Like the way I remember when I was working for a certain boss, he had like 2 words. You're a star. You're wonderful. I could almost repeat them every day. You're a star. I do something, I'm like, yeah, I'm a star. So at some point,
it has to be tangible.
Yes. So, someone has to come up and tell me, hey, I really like the way you did this. Or sometimes just tell me, hey, Vicky, you're looking sharp today. I like those colors on you. It took the time to notice what I was wearing, which is sometimes what we don't take time to do. So it's just looking at those behaviors that we've seen that people high in emotional intelligence, and then show, and then benchmarking yourself and saying, okay, so where do I range? Of course, some places you'll do well, some places
you might not. Yeah.
That's the long answer.
So if you're wondering about your level of emotional intelligence, you could get an assessment, talk to Profiles. So now we know at least it is measurable like IQ. Now, someone was saying, some people think EI is just about being nice or emotional. How true is that?
Okay, so first, what does emotional mean? It's about being emotional. I guess it's about when people use the word emotional, they mean you're a bit erratic or a bit reactive. Huh?
Yeah, because people sometimes you actually say, aren't you being too emotional?
Yeah. So first, debunking that myth. We are all emotional. And in fact, I think the saying goes, we are emotional creatures that think, not thinking creatures that have emotions. So first we feel the emotion.
Emotional creatures that think. Yes. So all not creatures are emotional.
You started as an emotional creature and you still are an emotional creature. You make decisions primarily based on emotions.
But
and then after you make the decision, then now you use logic to justify.
So this thing of I'm a very logical person, I leave my emotions at the door.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
So that's why when you say someone is emotional, you might be using the word wrong. Okay. We are all emotional creatures. Maybe that's a first myth. And yes, it is a myth that EI is basically about people who are emotional. I think I've shared it here on this podcast when I went to train a group of people. And I got into the lift, and they were not aware that I was the trainer.
Yeah, so this is a nice one. Sounds interesting.
So they got into the lift. One lady got into the lift, and then a gentleman got into the lift, I think a floor after. And then now the lady asked, "Ato umeitwa kwa hii training?" Then the gentleman said, sijui kwani imeitwa lakini imeitwa. Then the lady says, mimi nafikiria ni kwa sababu ya makasiriko yangu.
So she thought she was being summoned for an EI training because she gets angry.
And that's the other thing. the myth around it is a strong emotions that bring us to an emotional intelligence conversation or training. So EI is really about understanding your emotional climate, whether that emotional climate is about anger, whether it's happiness, whether it's sadness, whether it's reflection.
Yeah.
So the more you can name the emotional states you are in, actually, the more emotionally aware you become. And our thoughts, whenever we think, if you go back to the World Wide Web, they are balanced with a lot of emotions. And sometimes during the day, you might be feeling a lot more emotions that are focused on the unproductive side. So the difficult emotions, the ones we call unpleasant emotions. And those emotions, if you're not aware of them, they make you make certain decisions. For example, you can take less risk. You can be more confrontational.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, for example, I think for guys, after they've had a run-in with a matatu and they've fought the whole journey and they've come, and they get into the office, the angst is still there.
They need to cut, yeah.
And it needs to go somewhere. So the understanding of those emotions then allows us to make different choices. It gives us, first, what is the emotion that I'm feeling?
Why am I feeling like this?
Why am I feeling it? I'm about to go into an important meeting. What is the emotion I'm carrying into this meeting? I'm about to have a discussion with Angela. What emotion is expected from this conversation that we're having? Despite all the other ones that I'm feeling, is there something there that's going to make me feel less than? And even sometimes you find guys high in EI having boundaries and saying, I'm sorry, I can't do this. The threshold that I have right now, even if I came to this conversation,
I'd not be productive.
and you'd find guys trying to tell them, no, don't worry, you'll do great. It's still okay. But no. And you'll find someone with a firm boundary and saying, this will not portray me in the way that I think I want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things you start now going through when you start getting deeper into emotional intelligence. So it's not just about being emotional.
And so it's the wrong phrase that we use.
Yes.
And also it doesn't mean that emotionally intelligent people are nicer or kinder.
Oh, I forgot to address that. So you find that people who are high in emotional intelligence have also been called words like assertive. They are expressive. They do express their difficult emotions. They say when they are not happy, as opposed to, keeping quiet and let things
slide. Yeah.
They muster the courage to have difficult conversations and they lean into difficult conversations. But you see, that's also a factor of understanding that I'm going to be uncomfortable in this situation and this is what I need to do to make sure that this conversation does not get derailed to somewhere where I don't want it to go. So it's not about, niceness kind of implies, okay, letting things slide sometimes, being this person who's a people pleaser, for lack of a better word. And that is not definitely emotional intelligence.
That's not emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Now, people also say sometimes that people could take advantage of others because of this.
It is true.
Because when you know how to manage people and their emotions, you can get the outcomes you want.
Yes. It is true. So the first two facets of emotional intelligence is always awareness. Awareness of myself, awareness of my emotions, awareness of my personality. So I might find that I'm a charismatic woman and I speak in a certain way and people listen. I can use that to my advantage. I may also find that when I shout, everyone gets afraid and they also do certain things. So again, I could use that to my advantage. I could then start being aware of you and the emotions when I do certain things that you get.
How I respond.
Exactly. So I know if I use certain words, they nudge you in a certain direction. And I notice that of you and not of the other person. So you are more malleable. And I could use that to manipulate you. But that's not emotional intelligence. That's just awareness. I'm aware of my emotions, my superpowers. I'm also aware that you, as opposed to someone else, are more likely to respond to my threats, my this and the other. So, and I'm more likely to manipulate you. But it goes beyond that. We talk about intent in emotional intelligence. We talk about equity when we talk about emotional intelligence. So when we are thinking about the impact of my actions, my manipulation of you is not sustainable in the long term.
No.
And it's not sustainable even for me to gain from you sustainably, you must also gain
benefit
from me.
from each other.
So
Yeah,
it's a
give
win-win
and take,
situation.
yes.
It's a give and take situation. At some point, you start getting everyone talking about your brand with things like, huyu anapendanga tu watu wamfanyie vitu, lakini ukimuuliza,
hawezi
and
kufanyia
then,
kitu,
so you have to keep looking for new territories, and
and hope there's no feedback.
and hope there's no feedback mechanism. So how do you develop your brand sustainably, that wherever you are, people know what you're about? And that's the authenticity of knowing your values first.
Who am I? What are my values? What are my intentions?
Exactly. And even when I have interactions with others, how do I express myself as honestly as I can? Yeah. Even if I want something from you, I have to say it. I need you to help me with this, and because of this and this and the other. But before that, I've managed to also cultivate a relationship with you, because I'm not always like reaping and not sowing anything. So there is a whole lot that kind of covers the whole topic, that manipulation just becomes that. It is manipulation.
So if I want to, so we said now, somebody's wondering, if I want to start my own, assessing my own emotional intelligence, where do I start? So we said pillar number 1 is self-awareness.
Yeah.
So we need to introspect and start, and having that meeting with you to know who am I.
Yes.
Then what are some of the other things they need to think about?
So take an assessment.
Yes.
I think personality assessments or psychometric assessments are really good.
Okay.
They show you, or they help you define or put in words some of the things sometimes you know about yourself, but you don't know how to explain it in a way that is productive. I don't know if you, for example, I know I'm quite assertive. I know I can even border on aggressive. If the situation asks me to be aggressive, I can be aggressive. But an assessment shows me that trait and also shows me the other side.
The flip side of it.
Because of your aggressive nature, people might find it difficult to speak up when you're in the room. And that calls you for you call yourself for another meeting. Say, that's why when I'm in a meeting, everyone keeps quiet. And I'm the only one. I'm always wondering, when you guys don't have ideas, but the way that I speak, no one is going to have any ideas.
With knowledge.
Yeah. So then embracing both sides of the coin. Yeah. If you're going to say, I like to think through things, you also have to accept the fact that people are going to call you slow. You can't have one or the other.
It's true.
So you think it's deliberate, as guys think you're sitting on the fence. Yeah. If you're going to say that you value innovation, but you hate being criticized, so those are some of the things that you start coming to terms with. Okay, I hate criticism. That means I cannot do anything new. And if I do anything new, I cannot get feedback because I
don't like criticism.
I don't like criticism. It's part of my personality. So where do I go from there? So I think personality assessments give us like a base to know where we need to stretch to get the results that we want. Yeah, because you have this life planned out for you and you have certain things that you have to do. And some of them are not going to come naturally to you. And sometimes you don't know why. Yeah.
Until you start understanding your personality.
So I think that's a great place to start.
So there we go. Personality test, psychometric tests.
Yeah. The other place, even before you go to personality traits, is to start naming your emotions. It's simple. It's free. You can do it anywhere. And the more or the larger the vocabulary you have for the emotions that you experience, the more in tune you are with the way that you're feeling. So, and then on top of that, now, if I feel an emotion, what's my likely reaction? So for me, for example, I'm an anxious person. I've always been an anxious person. So when my anxiety starts kicking in, I withdraw. That's my first reaction.
Because you want to retreat and check and find out what's up.
Not I won't. I retreat. I don't even know I'm retreating. It just comes naturally. I retreat back. And it doesn't matter. I'll find something. I'll go to my office. That's the day I want to lock the door. And I will work really hard. Yeah. But no one has access to me. If I have questions that I want to ask, that's at the time. And then I go into this hole where nothing works. And if I'm not careful, I can actually go deep into some nothingness. So when we start to understand our emotional climates and our reaction to that, then we also start making better decisions about that. So for example, we all know this one. If you know you're angry and you're walking into a meeting, you know what to do. That one we know. I mean,
No,
you've
what
been
do
told
we
by
do?
your
Let's
mother.
let's just think about it. Not
What your mom
everybody
told you,
knows.
or your father, or your cousin.
Maybe not.
Count 1, 2. What are we doing? We're giving your
Or
body
time to breathe and calm down.
Yes. So by breathing in, breathing out has been shown to relax your system. And it also has other benefits. That's why when you meditate, you are asked to breathe in deeply and breathe and exhale. It activates certain parts of your region of your body. Go to Netflix. There's a lot of information about that. That, your eyes, which were dilated, go back to normal. Your heart, all those things.
The body regulates. Your mind chills. You become present. It takes you away from the worry.
Yes. And you move. Actually, it's the becoming present that moves you. Your body reacts. Your body defends you even when you don't know it's defending you. Yeah. So you're calming it down and trying to bring it to, we are not fighting.
It's not fight or flight.
Yes, we are not fighting. So we need to make a different choice about this. A person I was coaching said the minute he walks into a meeting and he sees his boss there, he looks for the farthest corner seat and puts his notebook there and prepares to take notes. And he takes notes and he takes notes. He's brilliant at what he does, but he will not speak up. And so why? Because first and foremost, there's a certain fear that he feels, which later on, it became fear. He says he feels inadequate. But when you look at some of the root emotions, you find this was primarily fear. From whence it came, that's a story with a proper doctor or a proper therapist. But that's a reaction that after some time you observe yourself doing. You sit, you withdraw, you don't know you're withdrawing, you take notes. What does that do for you for your career? You're the perpetual note taker.
Mm-hmm.
You don't speak up.
So they don't know you, they don't know your mind, they don't know your thoughts.
Yeah. So if you notice, okay, I'm feeling afraid, the butterflies have started in my stomach, but I can't do this enough. So what exercises do I have to do at that current moment? Nothing big, by the way, to push myself through, maybe just so that I can sit next to him. Maybe that's the first step. Because, change and transformation is small steps of, inglorious
steps. At
a
time.
Like they're not vavavoom steps. They're just small steps. But each and every single time you're doing that hard thing, because your emotions are the ones that are with you at that particular time. They're the ones you have to tame. You don't have to tame any Goliath. You just have to tame a little thing in your body that's kind of dictating what you're going to do. And you have to do it consistently.
Hence why the breathing.
Hence why it's important to name your emotions and to understand them so that then you can make better choices about the actions that you take after that. So naming your emotions is another one. Observing the reactions you have following the emotions. Even understanding where your emotions manifest in your body. For kids, it's easy. They haven't lost it. But like for me, my when I'm nervous, it's my hands. It manifests in my hands. Some people sweat.
Okay. Forever. So read the body language. The message is being sent.
Yeah. So I hope I've answered that one.
This is Emotional Intelligence Simplified, the podcast. Follow us on our social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and X at EI Simplified. You can also join our WhatsApp channel. We'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, Profiles, the people experts. Profiles helps individuals and organizations unlock their potential through emotional intelligence assessments, personalized coaching and team training, and culture transformation and leadership tools. You can check them out at www.profiles.co.ke, and you can call them on 0722 457777. Let's get back to the podcast. That's a good one. Yeah, but it's good to sometimes ask ourselves why we are the way we are and how to manage those, because we all have fears. Mm-hmm. We all do. And I think for me, it's certain words like we need to talk always put me off. I go south.
Direct. Your brain south. Just shuts down.
Wow.
Doesn't even matter what that person is saying.
Do, yeah, even if it was a good thing, my head just goes,
we need to talk.
Help.
Oh, gosh.
So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe we need to think about the words we use and how we use them. So yeah, I think that is so true.
My mother's phone used to just, my whole day would go, I'd just see her ringing and that would be
Please,
the end.
I hope she's not going to see this.
Gosh, is she watching? No, but we had a conversation after
And we
some
got
long
over
time.
it, yeah.
No, and I was like, it's gotten to the point, Mom, when you call,
I freak.
I freeze. Like, I don't pick up that call. I don't pick up. If I'm in a meeting, my mind just leaves the meeting and goes somewhere else.
South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Therefore,
anymore. Not
at
anymore.
least,
but
at
yeah.
least that's been sorted out. Now, I like this one. How can I tell if my emotional intelligence is low? Are there patterns to look for?
Yeah. One is you're quite reactionary. So how do I explain that? Always the easier one is anger.
Or do you always feel like the world is unonewa?
Not necessarily. You know,
Or you respond
because
in anger?
there are different aspects to EI. And you
Okay.
could be really good at one aspect of EI. And then
No, we didn't talk
one
about
other
those
one.
aspects, not that we've talked about that.
Yes. So you could really
So we had
be
said
self-aware.
self-awareness.
Yes, you
Yeah.
could be
Do you understand
self-aware
you?
of yourself.
Okay.
And you could know about the
You could be good at reading people.
or you could suck at it as well. You could not be aware of others.
A lot of us are not good at reading others.
So that becomes a place that you need to invest your time. You can't tell when someone needs support, when your friend is feeling it's out of sorts. It doesn't come naturally to you, maybe because of your personality. Even one, let me tell you one that, I mean, for me was a telltale sign. When people used to cry, I just used to get so uncomfortable, like, where's the nearest exit? You know?
Okay, I still can't. I can't. It puts me in a bad place.
Yeah, even for the guys. But you see, the tears tell you something about yourself, not about the other person.
Yeah, because why are you feeling like that?
Yes. So you leaning in to be curious. And sometimes holding, sometimes I think that we've been socialized is that I have to help you. I have to do something. Yeah. So I'm thinking
we have
you're
firstborn
crying.
complex.
Yeah, but
We can't help it, but we have to manage it.
A lot of the time you just have to hold space. So it's releasing that and saying, okay, someone here is experiencing a really difficult emotion. I'm also going to experience it. But all they need is for me to hold that space for them.
Just to be there.
It could
just
be to
quiet.
hold them. It could be even to sit down and just let them go through the emotions. They are the ones who might come and want to lean on my shoulder or something like that. Or we just watch each other until they're finished and then, hand over a hanky. It's just being comfortable in sitting in that difficult emotion. Some people are great at building trust. Yeah. They allow others to express themselves. They express themselves. They're really good at it. You might not be. Some
are very open and share. Maybe you feel too much. You don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Other people are very good at self-managing themselves. They are involved in physical activities. They have a circle of friends. They're deeply spiritual. So there are various aspects to EI. And I think the best thing, as I said, is to first find out which one are you good at.
Who are you? Where are you at? So we said emotional. So self-awareness, awareness of others.
The ability to come across as a genuine person.
Authenticity. How do you come out?
Yes.
Right.
The ability to self-manage in the long term, sustainably, lead a sustainable life. For example, if you can't keep time, it erodes your whole day. You can't have a resilient day.
True.
Because, one thing hits another. By the time you end, you're always flustered.
Dominoes,
yes.
Yeah.
So that's how do you keep a resilient day? What are the things you put in your day? For example, having little breaks where you sit and do those breathing exercises to bring your parasympathetic system to a certain level or whatever it is. How do you inspire others? Because there are people you sit with and you feel, well, you might not feel like you're going to change the world, but you feel, I was better off that I was here.
It was a good day today. Yeah, it was a good place to be.
Where? You're looking for the exit. You're like, what?
Hey, really?
My God. Because the guys who start the days like this. And maybe. Well, I am judging. Gosh, life is so hard.
Yes.
It's the hardest it's ever been.
Terrible.
And then tomorrow, do you know what happened to me? So already...
The dark clouds. We have a few people who seem to have a perpetual cloud
yes,
above them.
Exactly. So not being able to understand that dampens everyone's mood around you. They just go, shoo. And whereas we have a right to express ourselves, we must also be responsible about what
the
we
impact
say
of what we say
and
on
the impact that
others.
others
I
say.
like that.
So when I'm here with you and we're sharing about our problems, it's different from me sitting here and blonking all of them to everyone. So you wonder why whenever I'm in the room, people seem to leave one by one.
Or everybody just keeps quiet, like, oh.
Yeah. So that ability to be a positive influence on others and leave that feeling with others is also like a trait of guys who are high in emotional intelligence. It means they have been able to self-manage. They've been deliberately cultivating the art of expressing themselves authentically, but to the right people at the right time. It's the way when you enter an office and, some people got raises, others did not get. The ones who get raises are celebrating. They are so unaware that there's someone there in the corner who's
just going,
and they're like, but it's my day, it's my win. Yes, so what? It's your win.
Be gracious about your
Be gracious about your win. So go. So, and I guess, I think I'm overemphasizing the fact of the point, but that's what it is.
So we're saying, how do you assess? Look at the impact you have on other people. How do they respond to you? Just start thinking outside you, I guess.
Yeah.
And look at the response around you. Do people look up when they see you, or is it like, hi?
Yes. And I think what I get when we train like managers, some of the things I said, then do we have to be nice people? No. Even when you're holding people accountable and you are having that difficult conversation, it's about how you start the things that you say. And it's about the overall mood that you cultivate in the office perpetually and consistently.
Yeah. You reminded me the talk we had, the two young ladies. And I remember the thing that struck me was how the EI is high in these ladies. And they're like, you should always see the person, not the thing.
Mm-hmm.
In whatever happens, remember that, see the human being.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, if we did that a little more and became more aware about the people around us, we would be different.
Yeah.
And to help how we relate to other people. Mm-hmm. So now, somebody's saying, how does emotional intelligence help in handling stress, especially in high-pressured situations?
Okay. So EI helps you by first starting with self-awareness. So first understanding how you approach or how you bring yourself to high-pressured situations, yeah? And even why you're there in the first place. Like, I'm not saying you're not supposed to be there, but why you're there in the first place. There's certain high-pressured situations that are life situations. The other day I was giving a talk and someone was saying, what about balance? And I was saying, I think life is seasonal. Just like the seasons aren't seasonal.
Like this, like
there's
how
winter,
there's cold weather now.
Yeah. There's a time you'll chill. There's a time you will not know whether you're going in and going out. And really, the people who thrive are the guys who have habits. And we call them, I think it was one of those guys, Steve Covey, who said, a changeless core can survive anything.
A changeless
core. So you have
adaptability.
That you have values, you have principles, you're clear on them. So you can be agile everywhere. You can be here, you can be there. It's easy to navigate. But I like to put it this way. Some of the things that give us resilience are things sometimes we take for granted. Sleeping enough more often than not means that you're going to be able to have a body that can take stress. Don't imagine that mental stress is just of the mind.
It's of the whole body.
A strong body allows you to take even more mental stress, right? So if you're cultivating habits that give you well-being, general well-being for your body, for example, you work out, or however that looks like, you go for walks. You
whether
schedule
you walk,
them
you run, you go to the gym,
diligently,
have some
intentionally.
Physical.
Yes.
Okay.
You have a relationship with your spiritual God or whoever that is. You constantly take time out to declutter your mind as often as you can. So you're doing the work of cultivating a healthy mind to the boundaries that are permissible, but you're doing it. So those are some of the things
that we've talked about. Sleep, we've talked about workout, connection with your creator.
Yes. Friends. In fact, studies show that people who are integrated into society are the ones who live the longest. Not the ones who exercise, not the ones who don't smoke, not the ones, in fact, those ones can be smokers. And I'm not endorsing smoking. But the ones who integrate, they have a relationship with the milkman, they know their village
They're
mates,
in communities.
they're in jumuyas,
Yes.
they're in this, what
They're
those
in
guys.
cells, whatever.
Exactly. They are constantly being with people. Those are the guys who outlive all of us. So social integration is so important for human beings. It always has
Because we
been.
are social beings.
Yes.
We came from that. That's how we stand out.
Yes. But I think now we live in very fragmented societies. So it's not as easy as it was before. Before, I was a child of the village. I was whipped by
everyone.
every mother. I shared with everyone knew my secrets. So I could share all of them because anyway, they were public knowledge. So the social integration bit is also important. So do you have friends? Do you have a circle?
Do you have a support system?
A support system. People who keep you sane, who you can share with. That is important. So you find that these things actually go a long way to supporting you in these things you're calling high pressure situations, whatever they are and whenever they come, and keeping them constant in your life. The other things now, of course, learning to process your emotions when you're in a high pressure situations, adapting frameworks, designing, there's so many other things. But I believe that these are the basis, the foundation for self-leadership, for good self-management.
So what we're saying about emotional intelligence is you have to be aware, you have to be present for it to work.
Yeah.
You can't just exist through life and go through the motions.
No.
For it to work, you have to be purposeful. So now as we wind up, what action would you tell people to start to be able to, how can they begin to build their skills? So what are the things we can tell them?
So one of them is to start practicing emotional naming. So growing emotional awareness, it's a simple thing to do. Doesn't need any special tools. And then obviously, if you can, journaling around what those emotions have resulted to, the impact they've had on you, the impact they've had on your behavior, the impact they've had on your decisions, on your performance, especially the difficult ones. Yeah. I think the rest, getting a personality assessment, those ones you can get online. Get into books, read about
there's a lot of good information. And like you said, Netflix and YouTube have a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, YouTube has a channel called Explained, I think. Really good. You can learn all these things. You can pick one area, pick one thing that you want to improve and start with that. If, for example, you think you're self-aware and the next thing you want to do is just develop that awareness of others, there's a framework. There are so many people who've written about step 1 to develop an awareness of others. Do step 1, do step 2, pick one and then follow through to the end. These habits, if you're young, you're going to be using them for the rest of your life. If you're older, you're still going to be using them for the rest of your life. Yeah, whatever that may be. Could be 3 years, could be 10 years, 30. Whatever that is. And the more you practice them,
the better you become.
So it's like riding a bicycle. The more you ride the bicycle, it's a skill, like any other skill. You're not necessarily born with it or without it. You can grow it.
You can improve it.
So read about it.
And practice it. Don't just read.
Not read. Listen to podcasts.
Like these one.
Yes. And then pick 1 or 2 things that you want to improve and you'll be the better for it. Yeah.
So we hope we've answered some of your questions. And if you do have any more, please let us know on our social media platforms. And of course, you can visit Profiles to find out more about the assessments. And also you do coaching for emotional intelligence.
Yes. We do deliver coaching for emotional intelligence. You just have to reach out to us. The numbers, I think, will be on the screen and we will get back to you.
So thank you. See you on the next episode. Thanks for watching Emotional Intelligence Simplified. Let us know what you thought of this episode and what you'd love to hear next. Message us on our social media platforms at EI Simplified. We'd love to hear from you.